reading, and we'll be covering the books of Daniel, 2nd Peter, Psalms, and Proverbs from the King James Version. So I'll go ahead and give you a moment to pull up the scriptures. And just a special welcome to our Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, and replay viewers. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join in today. We're definitely blessed by your presence, and we pray that you will be blessed by the word today. So we're going to start with Daniel 5, the King James Version. Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his prince, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his prince and his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth, countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another. The king cried out to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayer. And the king spake, and said to wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing, and show me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords was astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be charged. There is a man in the kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubt, were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will shew the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing, and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thy king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, a majesty, and glory, and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and language trembled and feared before him, whom he slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he set up, and whom he would put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And thou his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knowest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou lords, thy wives and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the God of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Mani, Texo, Euphrates. This is the interpretation of the thing, meaning God has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Texo, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris, thy king is divided, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medias and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. 2 Peter 2. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there should be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth it not, and their damnation slumbereth not. For if God spare not the angels that sin, but cast them down to hell, and deliver them into the chains of darkness, to be reserved until judgment, and spare not the old world, but save Noah the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the city of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample upon unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversations of the wicked, for that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vex his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government. Presumptions are they, self will. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing executions against them before the Lord. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to rot in the daytime, to riot in the daytime. Spots they are, spots they are and blemish, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable soul, and heart they have exercised with covetous practice, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bozar, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumbass, speaking with man's voice, forbade the madness of the prophet. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they are lured through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness. Those that were clean escaped from them who lived in their error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought in bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollution of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than in the beginning. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it has happened unto them according to the true Proverbs. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. Psalms 119. I hate vain thoughts, but thy law do I love. Thou art my hiding place and my shield. I hope in the word. Depart from me, ye evildoer, for I will keep the commandment of my God. Uphold me according to thy word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope. Hold thou me up, and I shall be safe, and I will have respect unto thy statute continually. Though thou trot it down, all them that err from the statute, for their deceit is falsehood. Thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore I love thy testimony. My flesh trembleth to fear of thee, and I am afraid of thy judgment. I have done judgment and justice. Leave me not in my oppressors. Be surety for thy servant forgive. Let not the proud oppress me. My eyes fail for thy salvation and for the word of thy righteousness. Deal with thy servant according to thy mercy, and teach me thy statute. I am thy servant. Give me understanding, that I may know thy testimony. It is time for thee, Lord, to work, for they have made void thy law. Therefore I love thy commandment above gold, yea, above fine gold. Therefore I esteem all the precepts concerning all things to be right, and I hate every false way. Proverbs 28:19-20. He that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain person shall have poverty enough. A faithful man shall abound with blessing, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. And that concludes our reading for today. I do pray that you were blessed by that word and will continue to join in throughout the remainder of the year. Once again, thank you so much for joining today. Be blessed.